One of the world's richest billionaires is going all in on green hydrogen. Yes, you heard that correct. Unlike most billionaires and wealthy people who have no clue about their carbon footprint, Australia's richest man is actually vowing to reduce carbon emissions for his own mining company by investing in hydrogen fuel cells and clean hydrogen production. Now, hydrogen technology has been touted as the fuel of the future for many years now, but only now are we starting to see real investment, real scale, and real cost synergies take place as people are more critically focused on reducing their carbon emissions and realize that using battery electric technology itself is not going to solve all the world's problems. And to be honest, there is nobody else to blame for the rapid carbon emissions than the iron ore mining and oil and gas industry. So it's extremely important to see a chairman who built all his fortune of $20.4 billion from that industry pivoting into clean energy, because clearly he sees a better vision than most of the other smartest men in the world. Not only does he believe that hydrogen is going to be the solution to the transportation problems of the world, but he also thinks it's going to be the lifeline for the current oil and gas industry, which is still mission critical to running the electric grid and powering so many lives. And his master plan is exactly what I want to discuss in this video. But as usual, guys, before we get into it, make sure to drop me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. So to start things off, let's actually understand who Andrew Forrest actually is, because I'm sure many people in the West have not heard of him. Andrew Forrest is Australia's richest man who made his fortune through a startup by the name of Fortescue Metals Group, which is a company he founded more than 4 decades ago for iron ore mining. For those that don't know, Fortescue is known as a pioneer in the iron ore mining sector. Iron ore is a critical metal that's used to make steel, which obviously is what the entire world since the Industrial Revolution has relied on for innovation and sustainability. And no, Fortescue is not just another oil and gas company that is extremely unprofitable, has extremely low margins, and one that emits a lot of carbon pollution. As a matter of fact, Fortescue pulled in around $17 billion Australian in revenue in 2020, and a lot of that hit the bottom line, particularly almost $6.5 billion. That is a profit margin of almost 40% to the bottom line, not just gross. This is clearly a businessman that knows what he's doing and one who capitalized on an opportunity that nobody else saw 20 years ago. Back in the early 2000s, iron ore mining was extremely difficult to do in Australia. People thought there were no resources to actually perform that cost effectively, and that the only thing his company would do at that time was burn taxpayer dollars and restrict others from building a better life in Australia. But his company defied all the odds and became one of the biggest suppliers of critical iron ore resources to not only North America, but also the most power-hungry country in the world, China. And unlike a lot of the other oil and gas and industrial giant executives, Andrew actually understands the carbon footprint that his company has and how he can improve it. And he's actually putting his money where his mouth is by diversifying his darling company Fortescue into the green hydrogen industry. As you can see, just 3 years ago, Fortescue started a new brand by the name of Fortescue Future Industries, or FFI, which is solely dedicated to producing green hydrogen, investing in hydropower, and investing in clean energy technologies that can offset their own emissions. Not only are they doing this for themselves, but they also want other companies to rely on electrolysis to produce low carbon hydrogen that can offset steel production and ammonia-related emissions. Ammonia is one of the most critical resources used to perform fertilizer production, which obviously is used to make all the food that we eat in the world, making it one of the most carbon pollutive processes globally. This has led FFI to become a leading example and role model to other oil and gas and industrial companies on how they can actually pursue decarbonization. Not only did Fortescue invest in a 240-ton electric truck for their own mining operations, a first of its kind, but they also invested and are currently developing one of the world's first ammonia-powered ships, which can transport iron ore, oil and gas, or LNG across continents running on completely clean ammonia. And why exactly is that important, you may ask? Well, ammonia is an element that uses nitrogen and hydrogen for its production. And if you can make green hydrogen using electrolysis and use it as a feedstock for ammonia production and capture nitrogen from the atmosphere, then you can get ammonia that is completely clean. And the carbon emissions of combusting ammonia itself are extremely low compared to diesel, petrol, or even LNG, making it one of the most sustainable solutions for the future of the energy transportation. And for those still not understanding just how critical iron ore actually is to steel making, as you can see, it is a raw material used from the very beginning of the iron making and steel making process, making it an extremely critical resource for truly decarbonizing industrial producers. Yeah, you can add wind farms and solar panels to the energy demand that your factory might be using, but that is a really small percentage of the emissions reduction you're actually going to be facing. So if you can truly decarbonize all the gases that are used to perform the heating, which is typically hydrogen, then you can reduce emissions at an exponential scale, which will only further increase demand for the fuel and also decarbonize other sectors. And this is just how it worked for the oil and gas industry back in the Industrial Revolution. The only way oil demand skyrocketed was when oil and gas industries used it to produce electricity when the electric grid was being commercialized. That led to the development of the automobile, which resulted in people adopting cars, personal transportation, and even household generation. And this right here is where the hydrogen investment opportunity truly lies. We expect that by 2030, hydrogen fuel prices at a wholesale level will become cheaper than diesel. That means that the demand for trucks and the value proposition that they provide, whether that be for heavy duty, light duty, long haul trucks, and even vehicles, will be exponentially better than conventional diesel or ICE combustion trucks. With the Inflation Reduction Act announced last year, incentives of $3 per kilogram are going to pour in to hydrogen production, which is going to produce scale of manufacturing, more gigafactories, and end up reducing the cost of the molecule to the retail consumer. And the best part is when you pair demand with supply at the same time, you're able to solve that chicken and egg problem, which has slowed down hydrogen production and development so much. And that is exactly what FFI just did last week with their partnership with Nikola Motors. They just announced a collaboration and investment initiative to co-develop large-scale US green hydrogen production projects. Not only is this a great thing for FFI for an entry into the North American space, but it's also great news for a manufacturer like Nikola to procure supply for green hydrogen at potentially competitive prices from one of the biggest companies in the world. FFI's expertise in processing, logistics, and energy trading cannot be understated. They have decades of experience in the iron ore mining industry, and they understand the very best how carbon emissions affect the industrial sector. And there's a reason why they pursue this with a company like Nikola, because they're one of the only companies right now investing in production on a commercial scale of fuel cell trucks. And why would that matter? Well, because hydrogen trucks are basically the first gateway to hydrogen adoption in the US. We're talking about commercial hydrogen adoption, not industrial. Hydrogen's been used in industrial processes for hundreds of years so far. But at least for the transportation sector and grid-related applications, there's very little existence of green hydrogen technology there. Trucking is right now the first real application that's being tested, researched, and validated by fleets and OEMs, and that's where FFI is really going to help catalyze the industry here in North America. And yes, even though the upfront cost of hydrogen technology is more expensive than diesel or even in some cases battery electric, the advantages that it offers when it comes to refueling time, the amount of runs you can do in one day, and the fact that it can give you a much longer range with less weight, there's more advantages than there are disadvantages for many fleets. And the only way to truly make this a sustainable action for other fleets as well that might not be able to afford hydrogen is by reducing the cost, by making sure customers who have demand can get the supply. And that's where Nikola and FFI's partnership truly starts to make sense. Nikola's entire hydrogen production example is set using a hub and spoke model, meaning you have specific offtake opportunities from either other assets, which in this case would be built by FFI, or in-house production facilities of hydrogen, whether that be the Phoenix Hydrogen Hub or the Wabash Valley Resources in the Midwest. The initial per mile cost of the distribution will be taken by Nikola, but the capital expenditure, operation, and maintenance will be taken by a company like FFI, which will reduce the cost for the end customer if Nikola is able to build proper dispensing locations. Because right now the only way to fuel Nikola's trucks are going to be through dispensing stations or mobile refuelers that Nikola themselves is making. It's extremely difficult to find a hydrogen refueler that is for the retail market outside of California, and obviously a lot of the trucking industry in the US is not just based in California, but rather the Midwest and the East Coast. This, in my opinion, is exactly the reason why FFI's investment in an American OEM is going to make a lot of sense. Because not only is Andrew Forrest's own company going to be able to create demand for the hydrogen projects that it owns, but now even hydrogen OEMs that supply products to customers can provide real supply to customers at the right time. I think this is certainly a really good partnership between two companies that are taking the hydrogen charge extremely seriously, understanding how to solve the chicken and egg problem, reducing costs to help reduce emissions in the long run. But as usual, guys, this is just my take, so let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And thank you very much for watching.